All right, we are back. Episode 11, 12, 12.
11.
Episode 11? I don't know. One of
Oh,
those two.
12.
It's
Yeah.
12.
Whoa.
It's 12. Episode
It is
12
12.
of Your
Woo.
Relationship Sucks! Exclamation point. With may or may not exist yet. I don't know. And so this is a place where we are answering questions. We are answering the tough relationship questions. I'm answering them for the first time. Haven't seen any of these questions. You've done a good job. You've gone through. You found the good ones. You say, all right, this is one that definitely needs to be answered. Everybody needs to hear this answer. So all right. So what do you got for me? What do you got
Okay.
for today's topic?
So I kind of picked this one because the main heading, if you meet online, when do you meet in real life, does not match up with the story. And I don't think the person posing the question even realizes what the issue is, like what she contributed to her story about meeting up the first time.
Okay.
So you being honest, I thought it would be an interesting one to get into. I met this guy online and we instantly hit it off. We live in different cities, but he was coming to mine in a few months, so we planned to meet up. I had second thoughts about meeting him, so when he came to town, I was waiting for him to convince me. But instead, he said it was okay if I couldn't. We ended up not seeing each other. I felt bad about that and figured it would be the last time I hear from him. But as soon as he got back, he messaged me saying he was sad we hadn't been able to see each other. Since then, we've exchanged messages here and there. Nothing deep, but our conversations are always pleasant and enjoyable. I like him, but maybe he talks to me only when he's bored. I can't figure him out. Should I continue talking to him? I'm going to be in his city soon, and I don't know if I should see him. Help.
Wait, so now she's fine with seeing him? I don't understand what's happening at all. Like, this doesn't make...
Yes. And that's why I thought it was interesting, because to me, it sounds like he came to her city. He was being polite. Like, he wants to see her. He said he wanted to see her. She couldn't do it. So he was like, it's okay if like you can't. He's like not trying to pressure her into making her feel uncomfortable. And because he didn't like go all out and be like, I want to see you. Where are you? How are you? He didn't do that. Then she's like, oh, he's not interested in me. And he doesn't mess with you and like talks to me when I'm bored. Like I can't figure him out, when she's the one who planted all the seeds in his head to begin with. He's the one who came to her city first. So if I was him and the person I had been talking to, I'd been looking forward to seeing me, didn't want to see me, I would back off a bit. I would assume that they're the ones that are, what I mean? I'd still like be like, hey, I want to hang out. And then I'd be like trying to figure them out, because that's the person who's sending confused signals. So I guess this sounds like someone who's probably a little immature in relationships, is a little bit, the confidence of meeting someone who they've never met before is a little bit low, and they do have to go to a different city. That's a different ball game. How do you approach that?
Well, I'm not sure we have enough information to understand like what exactly was causing this, right? So, one of the things is like, proving that you're real, right? Proving that you're real on a well, really anywhere online, right? But particularly like on a dating app or whatever, you're not getting catfish, like that sort of thing. Totally understand that, and that's one thing, right? But then she's saying like, well, he didn't do. I was just waiting for him to convince me. Now, I don't know if she expressed that to him. So like he shows up, right, for whatever reason, for work maybe, I don't know,
I feel
whatever.
like that's
but he shows up
enough.
and he says like, hey, what's up? Like let's hang out. And she's like, well, I need like to be convinced. Now, if she didn't say that to him, that's her fault. That's her fault. Like you got to set expectations. Yeah. Like if you want something, you got to ask for it. Absolutely, 100%. Like you have to ask for it. If you want something in life, you have to ask for it, right? That's how it works. I mean, like you can whatever. The answer might be no, but you have to ask for it. So if she said, I probably wouldn't phrase it like, well, you have to convince me, mostly because it's not gonna sound great to the other person. But you have to actually. You have to ask for it. You have to tell him that, right? So you have to communicate that to him. Now, maybe she did and whatever, but it doesn't sound like she did. So this guy, like you said, right, he's probably like, hey, you know what, if you don't want to meet up, like, it's fine. I know it's, kind of scary, like, we're online and all that stuff. Like, that's fine. But I have a different, I think she's probably right that he's kind of messaging when he's bored and stuff like that, because he's got a little something, whatever. He's probably got other prospects and, things like that, because, whatever. She didn't want to meet up with him. So he's like, well, why waste my time? But obviously he still likes her a little bit or whatever. But, yeah, I'm sure he's not putting like his full effort into this. What I think is now she's feeling like, oh, I'm not his number one choice, right? So that's an ego hit for her, right? So now she's sitting there and she's like, well, hey, let me climb back up that ladder. Like, how do I get back to the top, right? And so she's saying like, all right, now I need to go see him or whatever. Real weird that within this communication, I mean, think about this, right? Like, she's like, well, all right, so I'm excited. Like, we hit it off immediately. I'm not even sure what that means, but like, we hit it off immediately, and then he's coming, and she's like, pass. And now she's saying, well, we're not really hitting it off as much, right? Because he's not messaging as much, and like, we're not, whatever, like, I can't figure him out, like all those things.
Yeah.
But now I'm open to meeting, right? And what that tells me is that you got an ego hit. You took an ego hit. You're sitting here and you're like, well, I guess I'm not as powerful as I thought I was, right? Guess I don't have the hold over him that I thought I did. That's what it sounds like, right? That's exactly what it sounds like. Yeah. So, meet up with him, don't meet up with him. I mean, like, whatever. I don't think this dude is thinking about you the same way, right? And you're not thinking about him the same way either. You're just thinking like, how do I get that power back, right? Like, how do I get that power? And I'm not saying power in like a negative or abusive way or whatever. It's just like, that's what happens in relationships, right? Like, people like to know that they have that power over people. And she doesn't anymore. She just doesn't have that power, which is fine. That happens. And so that part is, I'm not. This just feels like, look, if you guys want to hook up, like, hook up, whatever. I don't see this being a relationship. Like, I just don't. I don't know. Yeah. It just doesn't seem like it's gonna be a relationship, because you guys aren't both like doing your thing. Like, obviously, whatever you had at the beginning or whatever, that fizzled pretty quick, and now it's not the same. So it just doesn't feel like it's going to be there. But hey, meet up with them. Maybe it resparks and it redoes the thing. But the question, her question is what's her question is, how do I meet up?
She's like, should I continue talking to him? She's going to be in his city soon. So it sounds like they might have like business trips or reasons to go to the cities that aren't necessarily them. I think it's interesting that you wouldn't, from my perspective, if someone was coming to my city, I would prefer to meet them when they were in my city first. Like in my home. Yeah. So like, I think that that's weird that she wouldn't take advantage of that, is now then saying, oh, I'm going there. Maybe I'll meet up with him in his city, which is fine. But like you said, it does seem to be about, now that she doesn't have the same reactions from him that she was getting before, whether she wants to say it, she blew him off. That's what she did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like 100%. She blew him off, and then it doesn't sound like the conversation, the way she's wording it is, she wanted to be convinced. It wasn't that after they didn't meet up, she messaged him and she was like, I'm really sorry I didn't meet up with you. I've never met up with someone I've never met before. It makes me feel, like a little bit anxious, and I wasn't ready for that. Like, I'd love to do it again. Maybe when I'm in whatever city in a couple months, we can try again. But like, I just wasn't ready yet. I think that that's a perfectly acceptable thing to say to someone, and it lets them know where you're at, and it doesn't make them feel like they were blown off. And that's like what she did. Like, she probably knew for a while that he was coming into the city. Then she doesn't want to hang out. Like, if anyone did that to me, whether I knew them or not, I'd be like, you're kind of a fucking asshole. Like, I'm here for X amount of days. You can't meet me for coffee for 15 minutes when you've known about it. Like, that's a conscious choice that you have made at that point. Unless there's like an extenuating circumstance that you communicated, and that's not what happened.
Totally agree. I have a lot of problems with this idea of having to convince someone. That's an incredibly arrogant thing to say. And that happens for all people, like people who have this expectation, are honestly, they're just arrogant jackasses. Like this
Yeah.
girl is honestly just kind of a jackass. Like
Yeah, she's just a dick.
Somebody should have to convince me to like do these things. You know what? Get over yourself. Like, stop expecting so much from other people. Like, the dude shows up, says, "Hey, what's up?" Like, I want. That's enough, right there. End of story. That's enough. If you want to see him, cool, whatever. Meet in a public place, like that's fine. I'm not saying like go into a dark lair
Yeah.
with him and like, whatever, like see what happens. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying stop having these fucking expectations, right? These like this just expecting other people are going to bow down for you or whatever, right? And that happens again. Like, I know a number of people who are like that they're just like, well, I expected more of this or whatever. Like, I expected all this. So, well, guess what? That's not how life works. Like, life isn't a movie, like all that stuff. Like, if you watch a movie and then you're like, that's how I want to be treated, you have any idea how much that stuff costs? I mean, just flat out, like, that stuff is incredibly expensive that they do in the movies. It's not cheap, right? Nobody's like, whatever, here's a $7 date in a movie. Like, that's never happened. Right, in those big movies or whatever.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen in real life. People aren't rich. Like, this just doesn't happen. That's not how it's going to work. Right. So this guy's already coming to you and he's like, "Hey, what's up? Like, I want to meet up with you and I'm here and all these things." He's already proven and he's already should have convinced you that that's the case, unless there's some piece of information that we don't know. Right. But I'm only going based on the words that she's told us. And so this is a real problem that I have with people who have these expectations. Like, get the fuck over yourself. Stop thinking that you deserve the world. You don't. You deserve whatever you are asking for in the world. You didn't ask for anything, right? So you don't deserve to just have someone walk up to you and prove to you that they want to do something for you because you didn't fucking ask for it, right? If she would have asked for it, I would have had a different conversation, but she didn't ask for it. She did not ask for him to do some grand gesture to prove or what. I don't even know what that means. Like, how do I convince somebody, whatever, other than saying, "Hey, I'd like to meet up with you"? I don't even know what that means. That doesn't mean shit, right? But she wants that, but she doesn't ask for it. That's even more arrogant that you just expect other people are going to know that they have to convince you. That's even more arrogant, right? So get off your high horse. This is a power thing. If you want to go over there and you want to see him and you want to talk to him, whatever, I get it. Your ego's bruised. He didn't convince you, yada, yada. You're not like a special whatever. Like you're not this special person who gets all this stuff and like whatever. Like, that's fine. But stop thinking like, should I do whatever because my ego is hurt or what? No, if you want to hang out with the guy, hang out with the guy. It's very simple. Like, stop playing all these bullshit games. It's fine. If you want to hang out with him, hang out with him. If you don't want to hang out with him, don't hang out with him. If you want to talk to him and never hang out with him, that's fine too. People do that all the time. Just stop having this crisis of conscience with your ego because honestly, your ego probably doesn't even deserve to have it stroked that much, but also you didn't even ask for it. Right? So definitely knock your ego back down because you're expecting things you didn't even fucking ask for. Right? So that's kind of my big takeaway from this is that this is a girl who needs to understand how to recalibrate where she is in the world and recalibrate what expectations she should have. And she should understand that if you want to be treated in a certain way, that you need to make that known. And don't expect other people to know to treat you that way because this guy probably thought that he was treating you in a certain way. That was a good way.
Yeah, it seems like he was trying to be respectful of one way that, like, and that's not that you don't want to be disrespected, but she wants something that I don't think most people inherently think they need to do. Yep. That's one of my biggest things is that I should not have to convince someone to like me. That's not a good relationship. It's never going to be a good relationship. And I should not want someone to be convinced, to like someone else. I'm never gonna, if someone has to sit down and convince me to hang out with them, to like them in a certain way, I'm never gonna like them to the point that I want to maintain a long-term relationship. And it sounds like somehow that's like really what she's getting at. She's like, when you meet someone, like if you want to hang out with someone for a short amount of time, like you said, do it. You don't need to like really like them as much as you would, someone you want to maintain a long-term relationship with. So I don't know. If I was casually going to someone's city, I would not expect to then have to convince someone because I'm already the one that paid to go to the fucking city in the first place. Like, I've already made 90% of the effort. This person can do the 10% of the effort, which is just show up at the coffee house. Like, that was the minimum that she had to do. And she wanted him to go 99% of the way. Like, she just, like you said, she sounds like she has a big ego. She's not willing to like compromise, or at a minimum, express like any vulnerability that she's having in the situation, which is like not setting up for a good relationship at all. So
Yeah, I agree. She's the worst. Maybe the worst person in the world. I don't know. It's very possible. You know, that's where you went. I don't know if I'd go that far, but you know, yeah, she's pretty terrible. I don't like
I have
her.
no problem.
Um, so yeah, you know, figure stuff out. Maybe work on yourself. Maybe don't put all your problems on this other guy. You know what? Maybe don't talk to him anymore because it doesn't sound like he deserves this at this point.
Oh,
So all right, I think we have covered it. I think we have chastised this young woman enough for today. Hopefully, she hears this and chastises herself a little bit and figures out her life, and you know maybe recalibrate some things. Otherwise, I think we've done it for today. I think you know if anybody has any questions that they want to get answered, we have you can email us. And
yeah.
what's the email? The email is
The email is info.yourrelationshipsucks@gmail.com.
all right. So send us emails with questions, and if we like them, we'll answer them on the show. Otherwise, if anybody knows this lady, maybe give her a wake up call. Tell her to her
Yeah.
her proverbial shit actually does stink. And otherwise, we will see everybody next time.
Yes, we will.